Alright guys, making a response for Hidden Gem, which I think is a very appropriate name for him. Very underrated channel. I really like how he goes in depth into talking about the cards he's showing and telling stories about the players and his connection to them and all that, which kind of ties into the response he's asking for. He just wants us to show some cards that give us some happy memories and have some meaning behind them. So let's start with this card, which I've shown on some other similar responses in the past. This simple, cheap Jordan subset card. Can't be worth more than like $1, but as I've said before, that was the first ever Jordan card that I pulled, and I got it in the first ever basketball pack that I opened. So that pretty much started my sports card collecting. And who knows, if that first pack did not have that card, if it just had some players that I didn't even know, I might have quit right there. But getting that card made me want to buy another pack and then another one and so on, and the rest is history. Now I have the big collection that I have. So this card pretty much started it all. So that's definitely a card that has great memories every time I look at it. Next one is another inexpensive NBA card. This Shaq Common from 93-94 Skybox. And again, those first few years I was just collecting NBA stuff. Later on I started collecting baseball and then football eventually. But the reason this one is special is because it's the only card that my grandmother ever bought me. Back around that time, there were a lot of like street vendors that would set up tables and sell cards, almost like card shows on the streets, which was a lot of fun. Wish they would do that now. And so one day, walking around with my grandmother, I stopped at one of those vendors and was looking through like a box full of NBA star players that he had. And my grandmother said she would buy me a card from there, and so I picked this one out because at the time I did not have a Shaquille O'Neal card. There's a second-year card of him. He was kind of taking the league by storm by that point, and so wanted a card of him because I was still kind of building my collection. And so she bought that one for me, and I remember she paid $3 for it. Definitely can't get that for it now, and now it's probably like a 50-cent, 75-cent card at the most, but I would never sell it anyway because, again, it has those memories attached to it. And I'm sure I have doubles of that card right now, but this is the exact one that she bought me, so that's the one I keep in the binder. Same thing with the Jordan I showed. Sure, I have doubles of that one, but since that was the first one I pulled, that's the one I keep in the binder. So I will always keep both of those cards. Next is yet another NBA card. Again, that was mostly what I was collecting back then. So this Jordan SP HoloView insert. Not really capturing the hologram there, but really cool insert. And so the good memories behind this one is that was the first trade that a friend and I made. A guy who's still one of my best friends to this day, but around the time that we made that trade, we're still kind of getting to know each other. So really that trade kind of kicked off our friendship, because after that we started making several more trades during school and after school, and we started hanging out with the same group of people, would play basketball after school. We'd go to each other's houses and play the NBA Live video game. We were all big basketball fans. And funny thing is, he hated Jordan and I loved Jordan, so he would always trade me his Jordan cards, but I always had to create like 3-for-1 trades or 5-for-1 trades because Jordan cards were always the most expensive. So naturally, the players I was trading them were always cheaper, so I had to come up with creative ways to make some deals, because even though he didn't like Jordan and was willing to give him up, he wasn't just going to give him away for nothing. So again, I had to be really creative, and sometimes we'd spend like hours trying to come up with good trades. So a lot of fun memories about that. I definitely got to show him that card next time I see him. I'm sure it'll create some good conversation. So definitely a card that had to be on this list. Next is another card that I've used for a few other responses. This 97 Donruss signature Bernie Williams century marks, which were out of 100. They didn't do like the slash out of 100 on these, so that would be 95 out of 100. But yeah, I have other Bernie autos, obviously, and some that might be considered nicer looking and numbered to less, but for some reason that one has always been my favorite. Just love looking at it. I got it in a trade in the old Beckett.com forums. Back before eBay was a thing, that's how I would build up my collection. I would do buying and selling and trading on Beckett.com. And don't remember exactly what I traded for. I think it was like a bunch of inserts. Because back then, superstar inserts could easily give you like 15 to 20 bucks worth of trade value. So people were willing to make that kind of trade back then. Now you couldn't do something like that. Nowadays, if you want to trade for an auto, people are going to want an auto in return. But again, different times. But yeah, I didn't get it in 97. That's from 97 down to signature. But I got it a few years later, like 98 or 99. So by that time, Jeter had kind of taken over as the main guy on the Yankees. Bernie was already kind of underappreciated. So I'm guessing the guy that had that didn't really think much of it. He gave it up pretty easy. But to me, to this day, that's one of my most special cards in my collection. If I could keep just one Bernie auto, it would definitely be that one. Last item here, and I say item because it is not a card. It is this Don Mattingly thing here. Not even sure what you call that. Sparkly all over. Pretty cool item there. Kind of a handmade item by somebody. And that was given to me by my younger sister many years ago. I remember there happened to be a card show at a mall where my family was shopping. So we kind of split up. They went to do their shopping and I was just checking out all the card tables. And then later in that day, my sister gave me that, and she bought it with her own money. And I'm sure she didn't pay much for it, maybe like $2 or $3, but as we all say, it's the thought that counts. And she was only like 8 or 9 years old at the time, and so I remember just kind of being taken aback by that, by such a kind thing for a kid to do. She could have just taken that few bucks and bought herself something, but the fact that even at such a young age, she wasn't thinking about herself. She was thinking about buying me something to make my day a bit better. I just always remember that. It always stuck with me. I generally don't forget things like that. And now she's obviously much older. She's married and has 2 kids. But in many ways, seeing that right there just always takes me back to that day and always has me remembering her as that little kid that gave me this. Always remembering her as my little sister. So that's definitely a special item that I wanted to include into this video. So there it is, Hidden Gem. Those are my 5 items. Not sure if I'm going to upload this before the deadline. I'm cutting it pretty close, but either way, just wanted to make a response for this. As I always say, I enjoy doing these responses when it's a good topic like this. So thank you, Raphael, for running this. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you guys next time.